NCIS has been renewed for a 20th season as America's favorite comfort show makes a landmark return next year. In season 19, however, we're watching the cast deal with more than just criminal cases, as they've been without the long-adored Special Agent Leroy Jethro Gibbs leading the team. That isn't to say that his replacement, Gary Cole, hasn't been good, it's just that NCIS isn't NCIS without Gibbs. So what happened to Gibbs? Most fans of the show will know that the character Gibbs decided to retire following the conclusion of a case in Alaska. This happened in the 4th episode of the 19th season, Great White Open, and fans couldn't believe that Gibbs had finally done what was being hinted at for a couple of seasons now. The actor, Mark Hammon, who plays Gibbs, has been hinting at a possible end to his character, and even though he's been around for nearly 2 decades, it just feels too abrupt of an ending. Gibbs himself was in much pain during all of his years as the Special Agent because of some personal issues like losing his family in a shootout and losing a close friend too. Although, despite his grief, it felt like Gibbs would always carry on with the rest of the team, and his exit just hasn't sunk in. Although, this hasn't been the first time Gibbs handed in his retirement. Fans of the show will remember that he decided to quit the job after a terrorist attack was successful and his superiors had failed to heed his warnings. Gibbs couldn't live with the aftermath of the attack, but he did return later on in the same season, leading his team in the investigation of a kidnapping. Could Gibbs return in season 19? Wilmer Valderrama posted a picture on his Instagram with some of his fellow cast members on NCIS and revealed some breaking news through the caption. NCIS was supposed to air a week earlier, but Valderrama told his fans that the show will return on the 18th of April. Fans were obviously a bit disappointed because they were waiting for the episode, but that wasn't the only thing from that post that got people angry. Fans commenting under the post were mostly asking the same question: where is Gibbs? And will Gibbs return? We totally vibe with those comments. In fact, some of them were actually from us. While the show has managed to move on smoothly even after Gibbs, there could still be a chance that Gibbs could return this season. After all, he returned in the same season when he retired before, so why can't he do it again? That'd make for a special season finale, and we really hope that's the case. Though the chances of a comeback, at least in season 19, remain very thin. Our optimism is a lot like Jim Carrey's character, Lloyd Christmas, and his famous reaction from Dumb and Dumber. Could Gibbs ever return? If not in this season, could Gibbs maybe return in the season to come? That's another commonly asked question, and again, there's definitely a chance. Let's take a look at some of the facts. The writers had the option of killing the character off, and while it would have been a terrible and tragic end to Gibbs's character, they could have literally put the final nail in the coffin. However, the writers left the door open by letting Gibbs retire off in Alaska, and let's be honest, no one lives out their life until the very end in Alaska, so Gibbs could return sooner or later. That's not the only reason for a possible Gibbs return. There's also a lot of hope from the creators and writers of the show who have told the fans never to rule out Gibbs. Plus, Gibbs also remains part of the production team in NCIS, so it's not like he's not with the show at all. He's a crucial part of the behind-the-scenes team, and as long as he's with the rest of the squad, you can sense a potential comeback for Gibbs. After all, playing such an important character takes a lot of effort, and Mark Hammon isn't getting any younger. He celebrated his 70th birthday last September, and while he looks as if he hasn't aged in the last decade or so, this might have been the decisive factor behind leaving the franchise as an actor. Actors do tend to spend these years with their families. As longtime fans of the show, fans respect his decision to do so, but they'd also love him to make a comeback in some capacity. Why did Gibbs burn his boats? We have all grown to love Gibbs's quirky personality, and it feels very heartwarming and calm to see him follow up on his hobby of making sailboats. As a matter of fact, Gibbs isn't the only talented carpenter, but also the actor Mark Hammon in real life is also an accomplished woodworker. As for Gibbs, his sailboats are beautiful, and we love how he gets to work with baseball games playing in the background. He also puts in an insane amount of effort, as he isn't particularly big on power tools and likes to assemble most of the parts of the boat by hand. That's why it raises a big question: why does Gibbs burn all his boats? If you're putting in that much effort into making these boats, why would you burn them? Well, Gibbs is quirky to say the least, so there wasn't any straightforward answer, but we have a justification behind the burning of the boats. Apparently, Gibbs likes to burn the boats because it helps him relax, and that way he can proceed to making new boats. That seems like a plausible theory. After all, there isn't a lot of space in the basement, but there's another compelling reason. Everyone definitely remembers that Gibbs tends to name his boats after the women in his life. As the legend goes, he'd burn all of them because those women weren't a part of his life, but the one boat he didn't burn was the one named Kelly, after his daughter. He gifted that one to his goddaughter Amira, so this one probably makes a lot of sense. How does Gibbs get boats out of his basement? This was one of the longest running mysteries on the show, as fans were desperate to know the way Gibbs gets his boats out of the basement. His boats were quite big at times, and the basement wasn't that big. As far as we remember, there was only one visible entrance, and that was the door from which Gibbs would usually enter. That door was definitely not big enough to fit a whole sailboat, so fans would question how Gibbs would manage to take those sailboats outside. The mystery wasn't only piquing the interest of fans, as even the characters on the show didn't know how Gibbs managed to take his boats outside. It became a running mystery, company, and his fellow workers would often speculate how Gibbs did so. However, thankfully, at the start of the 19th season, fans got the answer to their burning question, and it was finally revealed how Gibbs managed to remove the boats from his basement. Apparently, Gibbs would remove the boats from the supposed fourth wall, as we saw a boat-shaped hole in the wall when Agent Alden Parker comes looking for Gibbs at the beginning of the 19th season. This answer is fully solidified by Ducky when he mentions the basement being airy. Very smart, NCIS, but we didn't miss the joke. There is also a sweet moment building up to Gibbs's exit when Torres and Gibbs have a little chat about his boat mystery, and Torres tells him that everyone wanted to know how he did it. What kind of coffee does Gibbs drink? This is another question that fans tend to ask about Gibbs during his time on the show. At first view, it always seems like Gibbs is drinking from a Starbucks cup, as the colors on the cup look similar. But many fans have already carried out extensive research, and it turns out while the cup may resemble Starbucks, it isn't from Starbucks. The cup reads hot fresh coffee instead, and the cups on Starbucks don't have anything written on them, apart from your name, which is usually spelt wrong. Although the most loyal fans of the show will remember that his coffee isn't something that a normal person would enjoy drinking, we see on one occasion when Shepard takes a sip from his cup and absolutely hates it. She even goes on to say, "How do you drink this swill?" Well, it's perfectly common for people with military backgrounds to drink strong coffees. Gibbs also mentioned that he needs his coffee to be as strong as possible because it helps him think. This can at least put the rumors of Starbucks to bed. Although another fun fact, Mark Hammon doesn't actually drink coffee on the set of NCIS. He revealed that there's usually tea in his cups, and that's probably smart because that amount of coffee is probably psychotic. Hammon also explained how he only drinks coffee once every day, and that one's probably from Starbucks. Well, that's a wrap for this video. Do you have any other questions about Gibbs? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this. See you in the next one.